A brand new cruise ship is already delayed. There's a new way to eat dinner on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and there are new sailings, including a surprising ship doing short cruises. I've got all of your Royal Caribbean news that you need to catch up with up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I want to share with you some big Royal Caribbean news that's come out in the last couple of days that you really should know about in order to plan your upcoming cruises. So let's start with a big story, and that is that Star of the Seas is already delayed. Star of the Seas is the second Icon class cruise ship. So following up on Icon of the Seas, Star of the Seas was supposed to debut on August 17th, 2025, but Royal Caribbean informed guests that that's going to take a little bit longer. Instead, that sailing is now canceled, and the new inaugural sailing will be on August 31st, 2025. Now, why is this being canceled? Well, Royal Caribbean didn't say much. All they basically said was, quote, after a review of the work that remains to be done, we're unfortunately forced to delay the ship's delivery date. And as a result, we must cancel our inaugural 7-night Eastern Caribbean and Perfect Day August 17th, 2025 sailing. That's it. There's no details on what exactly happened, but essentially, it's just being pushed back by about 2 weeks or so. Now, new ships being delayed are not uncommon. Certainly during the global industry shutdown of 2020 and 2021, there were a number of ships that were delayed, like Icon of the Seas and Wonder of the Seas and Odyssey of the Seas. And other cruise lines have had issues with getting ships out on time in terms of when they were first announced or being their inaugural sailings versus when it actually happened. Most recently, there was a Princess cruise that was delayed, actually, and that one was very close to the actual sail date, whereas this we're talking about a year and a half out. Guests booked on the canceled sailing have the choice of either being moved automatically to the new inaugural sailing, moving to either Wonder of the Seas or Icon of the Seas for the same week and being price protected, moving to a completely different ship altogether, or getting a full refund. In case you're wondering what is different about Star of the Seas versus Icon of the Seas, so are we. Royal Caribbean has not provided that many details that will be different about Star. We do know a couple of basic things. Number one, Star won't be any bigger than Icon. With the Oasis class, Royal Caribbean kept increasing the size of the ship by like a meter or two for every ship so that every new Oasis class ship was the biggest in the world. Well, that's not going to happen with Star. Number two, Star of the Seas will have a supper club. It won't be the Empire Supper Club. It'll be a Chicago-themed restaurant. And of course, Star of the Seas will have the same incredible neighborhoods like Thrill Island, Chill Island, the Aquadome, and of course, Central Park, and 40 different restaurants on board, and no doubt the entertainment will be different because every time there's a new Royal Caribbean cruise ship, you get different shows on board. Our second news story is pretty interesting in that Royal Caribbean is actually going to add a third time to dinner. Traditionally, when you go on any cruise ship, and this isn't just Royal Caribbean, I think this is pretty much the entire industry, there are two traditional dinner times, right? Usually the first seating is at 5 o'clock or so, and the second seating at 8 o'clock. And the set dinner times have been a crowd pleaser because people like having that traditional dinner times, but a lot of people felt that essentially 5 is too early and 8 is too late. And Royal Caribbean wants to fix this by adding a third dinner time. Now, it may seem like a simple change, but the cruise line thinks it will greatly improve the guest experience for anyone in the dining room, even if you don't select the third dinner time here. Now, it'll be coming later this year, a third dining time that comes in between the first two times. The hope is that it's going to provide more convenience, variety, and options for guests. Now, the exact time for the new seating will depend on the ship itinerary. It could start as early as 6:45 p.m. or as late as 7:30. It depends on guest feedback, a little more testing that's still working out. According to Royal Caribbean, so far they've already been testing this out on Wonder of the Seas and Icon of the Seas, and the plan is to methodically roll it out to the rest of the fleet. Essentially, they'll go ship by ship. This will not be a push a button and all of a sudden every single ship has this. They've got to kind of get it down and get the system working, so they're going to have to go through it ship by ship. Now, at the heart of this decision, why are they adding a third dinner time? Well, really, this is about making dinner better and more ideal. Essentially, this idea comes out of guest feedback, where traditional dining times weren't ideal, but switching to My Time just wasn't great either. Now, My Time dining offers flexible dining times, but a lot of cruisers enjoy, or prefer rather, having the same waitstaff and table assignments every night. After all, a lot of people like having the same server, having the same table, and the assigned time. And a lot of people want to be able to choose that time, but they're not able to because the traditional times are taken and they end up in My Time dining. Royal Caribbean shared with me that actually, based on early testing, guest satisfaction is higher as a result of the change. Essentially, People who are now in the third seating are rating higher than any of the experiences they've ever had, whether it was early, late, or my time. So, kind of like Goldilocks, it's right in the middle in that perfect spot. To be clear, this change has no other ramifications. There's no menu change, no alterations to dinner, and nothing else being added. Just simply a new time to dinner that's basically building on an initiative that Royal Caribbean's been having to help improve the main dining room dinner experience. If you remember, in late 2022, Royal Caribbean began testing out a new main dining room menu, and besides the menu itself changing, and that occurred fleet-wide in early 2023, it also expedited the service. So if you're wondering how can they make 3 different dining times work within the same amount of time from, let's call it 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock or so, the answer is because dinner is faster now, they're able to accommodate it more. You got to remember, Royal Caribbean doesn't want dinner to be like 30 minutes. They figure somewhere around 70, 75 minutes is the ideal time for a meal. And before those changes, dinner in the main dining room could have taken like 2 hours in some cases. It really varied. Now, it's far more consistent. And so as a result of that change, the cruise line now feels they can accommodate an extra dining time with this third time out there. And the other big story this week is that Royal Caribbean has posted its new 2025-2026 deployments for Short Caribbean and LA cruise markets. Short Caribbean, as well as those departing from LA in 26, are available to book immediately. And this is pretty big for a couple of reasons. Let's start off on the West Coast because Royal Caribbean is adding a second Royal Caribbean cruise ship to this market. Navigator of the Seas and Quantum of the Seas will be sailing from LA beginning in 2025-2026. And then over in the Short Caribbean market, over in Florida and Texas, you're going to find about a handful of ships: Wonder of the Seas, Utopia of the Seas, Liberty of the Seas, Mariner, Jewel, and Freedom. All right, what's different? What's important? Well, number one, Wonder of the Seas, the second largest cruise ship in the world today. Although by the time this actually happens, it'll be like the third largest cruise ship, but I digress. Will begin offering short cruises, weekend cruises, in September of 2025. Now, Royal Caribbean shook up the short cruise market when it announced that Utopia of the Seas would enter service with just short cruises because, after all, usually a brand new ship starts off with 7-night sailings. But instead, Utopia and Wonder, being Oasis-class ships, they're going to start offering short cruises. The idea here is they want to appeal more to new cruisers. A lot of people that are new to cruising, who've never taken a cruise before, want to try it, but 7 nights seems like a long time to them. Now, you and I might already know, well, that's totally not enough time at all. There is no such thing as too long on a cruise. But for a new cruiser who's never done it before, there is absolutely a hesitation, a trepidation about trying it out. So they tend to lean towards shorter cruises. And as a result, if they're going on an older, smaller ship, it might not be the ship that gets them to say, hey, I want to cruise the Royal Caribbean all the time. So the strategy here is offer short cruises in key markets like Port Canaveral and Miami on Utopia and Wonder, and then back that up with 7-night cruises on Star of the Seas and Icon of the Seas out of Port Canaveral and Miami. And you've got the best, newest, biggest cruise ships sailing from the biggest cruise market, trying to appeal to every possible demographic out there who's looking for a family vacation. It's a pretty compelling 1, 2, 3, 4 punch, if you can say that. Speaking of Utopia of the Seas, the aforementioned Utopia will continue offering short cruises from Port Canaveral, and she'll visit Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Also joining the 3 and 4 cruise market will be Jewel of the Seas. Jewel will sail from Fort Lauderdale between April 2025 and October 2025 to offer weekend cruises. This means, by the way, that Jewel will remain in the U.S. instead of going to Europe for the summer of 25, which is kind of interesting and different. Liberty of the Seas will also offer some short cruises. When Jewel concludes her short cruise sailings from Fort Lauderdale, Liberty will pick them up. Liberty will offer cruises from Port Everglades between October 25 and March 26, and will be visiting Nassau, Bahamas, and Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Now, if you want to take a short Caribbean cruise from Galveston, well, then Mariner of the Seas has sailings for you. Mariner will offer primarily 4- and 5-night Western Caribbean cruises that visit ports in Mexico. There's also a few holiday cruises in December that are 7-nighters. And with Mariner making short sailings to the Western Caribbean from Galveston, it's very convenient for those who live nearby and don't want to pay for airfare to get out to Florida or even the West Coast for that matter. There are some 5-night cruises that Mariner does that will visit Costa Maya and Cozumel, while the 4-nighters will visit Cozumel only. In addition to Wonder of the Seas, Freedom of the Seas will offer short cruises for Miami. In April 2025, Freedom wraps up her tenure in Fort Lauderdale before shifting back to Miami. Freedom will sail 3 to 6-night cruises with a 9-night sailing over New Year's 2026. Now, over on the West Coast, Quantum of the Seas will be home ported in LA year-round, offering cruises to Mexico and Catalina Island. She'll be the biggest cruise ship Royal Caribbean has ever based on the West Coast. Rumors have been swirling about a second ship being added to the LA market, and turns out those rumors were true. Taking a cruise from the West Coast promises stunning coastal landscapes, world-class cuisine, and vibrant ports of calls like Cabo San Lucas, which is a popular cruise port as well as land-based vacation spot. It's known for having a party atmosphere, wildlife, and of course unique rock formation. On Quantum's longer sailing from LA, you'll visit Cabo San Lucas, whereas on shorter ones, you'll go to Ensenada and of course Catalina Island. And Navigator of the Seas will return to the LA market for another season to split the Mexican Riviera sailings with Quantum. Navigator will still offer short 3 and 4 night cruises, but lean more into the longer sailings that go further south down the Baja Peninsula. Navigator has been in the LA market since 2021, and it shows a real commitment by Royal Caribbean to have not only Navigator back in, but adding Quantum. It's a big deal to have 2 ships on the West Coast, something that Royal Caribbean really has never done as far as I can tell. If you're wondering about remaining deployments for 2025 and 2026, you've got China the week of March 11th, Australia the week of April 8th, and Singapore the week of May 13th, 2024. Now, if you were looking for more cruises in 2026, like beyond, say, March or April, you've got to wait till the next cycle, which will begin again in November or December of this year, and then in the spring of next year. So there's a look at all the big Royal Caribbean news. There was just so much happening in the last couple days. I wanted to catch you all up on it. Let me know in the comments below, will you be sailing on the Star of the Seas inaugural? Are you maybe looking at a short weekend cruise on Wonder of the Seas, or maybe heading out to LA to check out Quantum of the Seas? And will you be selecting this new middle dining time on your next Royal Caribbean cruise, assuming it's available when you set sail? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on all the Royal Caribbean news of this week. While you're down below our video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That's that little bell icon that lets you know when there's a brand new video. It's free, it doesn't really bother you all that much, just lets you alert you that, hey, there's a new video to check out. Come check it out, click on it now. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.